Okay, Jerry is going to be speaking on the topic of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the Lord's true church, containing the fullness of the gospel with ordinances, sacraments, authority, and prophets and apostles as of old.
Marshall's the master of one more thing. When Marshall asked me to do this Sunday night, it just blew my mind because since 1988, I've been turning my head on clockwise, which is correctly, to become a good Christian and know what I need to know to talk and help my Mormon friends out. I had to do about 100 loops backwards on my brain, and so if my neck's a little stiff today, it's because it's really been kind of a hard thing to do psychologically and how to handle it. So I thought the best thing I can do is let the Mormon leaders speak for themselves as much as possible, and I'll try to explain what they say.
Excuse me, Jerry. You guys need to start the clock.
Oh, yes, start. Oh, don't start the clock. Yeah.
So is this your intro?
Go ahead. You're
Okay.
fine. So anyway, what I'll do is show you a lot of quotes from Mormon leaders and the way at least a normal Mormon would approach you and trying to explain the restoration, the apostasy of the church and the restoration of the church. Obviously, we're hitting the mountaintops, so we're not hitting it all. We could be here for days. So we'll get started. I want to start with kind of a picture. I like pictures. Marshall's taught me on that. So what I'm going to do is give you 3 pictures. One would be kind of the original church in your mind of, let's say, the before Christ with the Jewish people and God and all that stuff. The next one might be the church that Jesus set down. And then the 2 options after that is a restored church or an apostated church. So let's look at the first picture, and this will be a picture of, we'll say, Moses' church, okay? It's very basic, gets you where you want to go. It has a lot of animals in it. It gets sacrificed along the way. That kind of describes the Jewish church that was there before Jesus. Okay, now let's look at the church that Jesus put out, okay, that he established. We both agree on that. We all agree on that. And this is going to be the church that Jesus established. Okay, very basic, gets to and from. Notice there's no animals. So, you know, it's kind of a step up in churches. Okay, now, if we had this snapshot of the church when Jesus was here and we just could lay it all out, everybody would be a good Bible-believing Christian church and everything would be the same. But we don't. It's 2,000 years ago. And so what we have is maybe a restored church. So go ahead and put the next one up there. We have one that's been restored. Now notice the building's new, it's in color, but it's still basically the same. It has wheels and a seat and a steering wheel, kind of looks like it. So that was what we're looking for. As a Mormon, I was looking for a restored church. That's what I was taught. We're going to reproduce the original the best we can. Some updates, I'm sure there are neoprene tires, there's probably safety glass in the windows, you know, things like that, stuff you won't really notice, behind the scenes stuff. Now, let's show a picture of an apostated church. Okay, that'd be the next one. Now, apostated church means there's some of the stuff there is the same, but a lot of stuff has absolutely changed. I'll go ahead and raise that up. Now, these I like to go see at hot rod shows and stuff. They're apostated Model Ts, okay? The body's there, the radiator's there, and the wheels are there, but not the same, and it definitely has a different attitude about it. So that's an apostate church. So that's the 3 things we're going to try to define here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the next one up. My first place to go anymore is the internet. I like the internet because you can get anything you want out of it. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, so I'll stick right away from the LDS church. Notice it's LDS home. Your topical guide, go ahead and raise it a little bit. And you'll see that there's lots of things to discuss about the church. The church before Christ, the church organization, and the signs of a true church. Okay, put it next up. So what I did is picked out a couple of topics, again, just the mountaintops. And first, I thought I'd discuss church. Now, I got this out of Strong's, and is there any Mormons out here? And you don't have to raise your hands. I'll close my eyes for a second. I wish you would, because I want to be able to be accountable for what I say. But if there's anybody that hasn't seen a book like this, how about has never practiced this? Okay, so I'm not introducing anything new. It's Strong's Concordance, and the same The question's on the board. Are there any LDS people out here? Okay, good. Okay, I want to defend you correctly, and I want to do that the very best I can. I start with Strong's because Strong's is kind of probably the most independent book on defining definitions of the Greek and Hebrew words. That's all he does. He doesn't have doctrine in it. He doesn't make clandestine statements about this or that. He says, this is the word, this is the way it's been used by the Jews and by the Greeks, and that's all he cares about. So he spent his whole life doing this. And so this is a definition of the church. You notice it starts out in the old places before Christ. Any gathering of the citizens didn't have anything to do with a religious thing. It could be assembly of people in public, could be called a church. That was the original names. With the Israelites, it was a gathering of men anywhere as far as being an Israelite and gathering, they would call it church. An assembly of Christians gathered to worship. We're starting in a Christian sense, look at it. And after Christ, a company of Christians would be called a church, a group. It's people. It's an organization. It's a group of people. And so it can be anywhere, any place a church can be. It's called the whole body of Christians, and sometimes assembly is used. So we're going to look at those as a definition of the church. I'm trying to restore what used to be. Go to the next one now. Okay, first, let's look again at Moses' church real quick. Okay, there's another caption. Go ahead and the next slide. Okay, now in the topical guide, again on the LDS work site, I picked out the different topics, and I highlighted the ones that are from the Bible. Now, one thing me and Marshall can agree on is the Bible. If I try to present my case from an LDS doctrine, it could be construed as circular reasoning, so I'm trying to stay away from there, but there are a lot of writings within the Mormon doctrine about the church and how it was established, but there are also enough Bible verses to keep us busy for tonight.